Have you ever felt awkward when trying to start a conversation? Do you ever find yourself feeling overwhelmed? Or perhaps you wish you could keep track of your money better? Do adulting skills give you grief? What if you had one place to go to learn about all these skills and more?
Welcome to Adulting Decrypted. We prepare young adults to be independent powerhouses for life. An independent powerhouse is someone who possesses the ability to be socially, emotionally, practically, and financially independent.
Let's take a quick second for us to introduce ourselves.
I'm Ashton. When I first moved out, I wanted nothing more than independence. There were a lot of things that I didn't know, and I needed help from my parents in basically all facets of my life. I went on a 2-year service mission, and when I came home, I was determined to do better than I did before. I'm now living on my own, paying for my own place, and learning a ton of lessons that I am happy to learn, even though they may be difficult. I'm excited to share what I'm learning. I'm also excited to learn with you.
I'm Gideon, and while seeing the world and people around me, I've always wanted to stand out and be more prepared than my peers, lacking the skill to know where to look and to find guidance, other than my older and wiser family. Now with this podcast, I can learn how to progress and share this knowledge with others.
I'm Roscoe, the dad. Michelle and I thought we had taught the children everything they needed to know to become adults. Then one day at dinner, we were having a conversation about an Ivy League school had just started Adulting 101, and they were teaching such basic skills, and I was laughing. That's when Ashton jumped in, Gene and Gideon, and all told us about the gaps in our training. That is why we decided to launch Adulting Decrypted.
Normally, there are 4 hosts for the show. Gene, the 4th host, is currently on a 2-year service mission.
I'm Gene, and I'm actually recording this on my phone because I'm out in Louisiana and Mississippi. I won't be able to join the discussion today. I will be back, I promise.
While we won't be able to hear his live comments, we're looking forward to sharing his thoughts and his stories regularly on the show.
And now, on with the episode. All right, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Adulting Decrypted. Today's episode is a little different. I am by myself today. My name is Ashton, and I'm 25. I am one of the 4 hosts of Adulting Decrypted. My dad, Gideon, and Gene are my other hosts. And due to busy life and things just going on, we weren't really able to connect this week. So I thought, hey, it'd be kind of fun to do one by myself. And when I was thinking about it, if you've listened to our show for any period of time, especially recently, you'll know that a lot of the episodes, my dad, Roscoe, will spend the episode sharing information that he's found and teaching us other 3. And then we just share our life experiences off of that. And so when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, I thought, it'd be kind of fun. I know for a fact that there are plenty of adulting quizzes on Google. And I thought it'd be kind of fun just to take one live on the podcast. Talk through the answers that I give to these quizzes, why I give these answers, and just kind of overall go over some adulting stuff, just kind of willy-nilly, if you will. So here we go. So I found this quiz on grizzly.com. It only has 1 Z. What it is, it just says it's an adult quiz, and there's 20 questions. So we're going to go through them. I'm going to answer the questions that come up. It's multiple choice, it looks like, and we're gonna have a good old time. So here we go. The first question says, you've got bills to pay, mister. Time to get a job. What should you do at a job interview? And the options it gives us is, play along at home. Let me know, let us know what you get on your quiz. Okay, so the options are A, prepare for common interview questions. B, dress professionally. C, ask the interviewer questions about the company, job, and industry. Or D, all of the above. Well, for me, this is pretty simple. It's going to be D, all of the above. Yep, and it looks like 90% of people say the same thing. Not a lot of people are fooled by that one. Yeah, so the other 3 tips that are really powerful that they give there is prepare for common interview questions. And if you're like, well, I don't know what a common interview question is, you can Google them. Really, really quite easy. Like, I'm going to do it right here, live on the podcast, because that's what I said I was doing. And boom, first result. Tell me something about yourself. How did you hear about this position? Why do you want to work here? Why did you decide to apply for this position? What is your greatest strength? What are your greatest strengths and weaknesses? So a lot of stuff like that. And those questions sound kind of funny the younger you are, but the older you get, it gets a little bit more specific about how you do stuff. So, like, my first job that I remember actually applying for was a theater job. And the how did you hear about the position was easy. Like, a lot of my friends worked there. And I was like, well, I want to work with my friends. I think that'd be fun. And so when they were like, hey, how did you hear about this position? It was friends. Why do you want to work here? Again, probably friends. But it was also like, I need money to pay for stuff. I did band in high school, and it costs money. So I had to pay for those things. And if I didn't earn money, I wasn't going to be able to do it. So that's what I wanted to do. The fun ones to try and answer is strengths and weaknesses. With strengths, yeah, present your best strengths. With weaknesses, something that I was taught and that I always do with those sort of interview questions is I give my weaknesses and then also give what I want to do to work on them, or what I'm doing to work on them. For example, if someone were to ask me now, I know for a fact I've done this in the past, like, what are your greatest weaknesses? And I say, sometimes being on time is hard for me. And what I do to fix those things is, one, I make sure I always know my why. Like, why am I doing the thing that I need to be on time for? And two, I always tell myself I need to leave 10 to 15 minutes earlier than I have to. So if I was giving that weakness in a job interview, I'd be like, oh, you know what? Sometimes I struggle with punctuality, but things that I've done to work on that are know why I'm doing that thing. So if I was working for you in your company, I know that I want to give you my best work ethic possible for the company and for the success of the business. And two, I always schedule myself to leave 10 to 15 minutes early to plan for things that often get in the way, like traffic and yada, 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 so on and so forth. Dress professionally. People always say dress one level above the job you're applying for. So again, that movie theater job, they were going to put us in a branded polo and black pants of any sort, really. So I showed up to the interview in a button-up shirt and black pants with a belt, because that was just a little bit above what they were looking for. And then the important one is, a lot of times interviewers will say, ask questions. Like, they'll say, oh, do you have any questions? And it's important for you to have questions. Because if you don't have questions, it often looks like you don't know what you're talking about, or you're not very interested. And that's something I've messed up before as well. There was one company I remember applying for. They were doing, what were they doing? They were doing quotes on fixing roofs, I think it was what it was, and they used drone footage and all that stuff, and basically the job I would have had was plotting points on a graph to show the size of the roof and how much it would cost for the company to repair it. I'm pretty sure that's what that job was. And they asked me, oh, do you have any questions about the job? And I was like, no, I don't know what I'm applying for. But I knew it was paying decent money. Long story short, I didn't get that job. So do those things. Here we go. Next question. 2 of 20. So far, we've got 100% correct. Your fridge is completely bare. It's about time you head to the store to balance out your diet. Whoa. What is not one of the 5 food groups? Fruits, dairy, protein, and dessert. Ooh, easy one. Easy lob ball. Dairy's not a food group. Just kidding. Dessert. Yeah, dessert's not a food group, unfortunately. All of us kind of wish that was the case, but it's not. Yep, the 5 food groups are dairy, protein, grains, veggies, and fruit. And there's a little food pyramid. You learn about it in junior high. Eat through the pyramid properly. I'm going to move on from that one. I'm not as smart in that one. When it rains, it pours. Your battery just died. What do you need to jump your car? So in this sense, there's a picture here. It's got a car battery. So the car battery just died. It's not starting. What do you need to do? What do you need to jump your car? A tow truck. B, an electrical cord and an outlet. C, jump starter and a tractor. D, jumper cables and another vehicle. Well, I know this answer. It's D, jumper cables and another vehicle. As much as I would like to be able to plug my car in with an electrical cord, I don't own one of those vehicles, and I actually don't know if you can jumpstart those vehicles. If your electric vehicle dies, what happens? Yeah, all you need is jumper cables and another vehicle. So jumper cables will basically be two really long cables that are stuck together. There'll be a red side and a black side, positive and negative. You can connect positive to positive and negative to ground, and then you can So when you do it, you put the positive, the red on the positive terminals on both cars, and the black clamp of the jumper cable to a negative terminal on the car that has battery, and you put the black cable on any unpainted metal material on the dead vehicle, and that's what you call grounding it. I'm not good enough at science to know exactly what that's doing, but if you start up the other car and wait for a little bit, the car that has battery, you start that up, wait for a little bit, then your car should be able to start up. There's also things out there that are really good for jumping vehicles. My family, we own it's a battery charger starter. Basically, it's just something that goes in the back of your car, and it has a charge, and it's got those two cables, and when your car battery dies, you just connect it the same way, positive to positive, negative to negative, turn it on, let it run for a couple minutes, start up your car. If you've had your battery die on your car and you've had to jump it and you're driving, you want to leave your car on for a little bit. Don't turn it off right away. Basically, your car charges its battery by running itself, so you want to run your car for a little bit longer so that your battery can charge back up. And then if you've had to jump your car, sometimes it happens just because doors are accidentally left open, so lights are left on the inside of the car and it drains the battery. Sometimes, I've done this a couple times where I leave my lights on by accident. I just, they turn on in the day, and when I get out of my car, I don't realize they're still on because it's light outside. That can drain a battery. But if you haven't done something like that and the battery still died, it's time to go get it checked at something like an AutoZone, where they can tell you if the battery's good or not, and you need to get a new battery. So if you need to jump your car, make sure you know why you needed to jump it. Okay, up next. Goodness, your tire just went flat. What tools do you need to change it? A mechanic. B, lug nuts, hammer, and torch. C, jack, screwdriver, and bolts. D, wrench, jack, and spare tire. Well, a mechanic could be a right answer here. Lug nuts, hammer, and a torch. There's no reason to use a torch or a hammer on your tire. Jack, screwdriver's not going to do you anything good with the tire, so wrench, jack, and a spare tire is what you need. So, having a tire go flat on the freeway is one of the worst things that you can have happen to you. Well, it's not, but, having a tire you have to change is not the funnest thing. So what you need to do is, if this flat tire has happened to you while you're on the road, you can pull off to the side of the road, turn on your hazard lights, make sure that everyone can kind of see that your car is at a stop, stand still. And then in the back of your car, typically in the trunk or in the back, depending on what type of car you have, there'll be a spare tire, and stored near the spare tire will be a jack, and that jack is so you can lift the side of your car up that has the tire that needs to be changed. Hello. If you're listening to this right now, that means you're currently listening to an episode of Adulting Decrypted. And let me just say thank you. My name's Ashton, one of the hosts of Adulting Decrypted, and I wanted to steal a quick second of your time to do a shameless little plug. If you've listened to our podcast for any sort of time, you know that we talk about a bunch of different stuff all about adulting. Because our goal is to help individuals in this task we call adulting. Now, we have just revamped the way that we do this. If you go to adultingdecrypted.com, you can see all of our episodes sorted out by category. We've sorted it into financial, practical, emotional, social, and things just for fun. So, if any of those categories are of particular interest to you right now, you can go onto the website, look through there, and see all of our episodes that correlate with that specific thing. This website's completely free to use. It's just another tool for our listeners to find things that are more important to them now. So, for example, if I was looking at it, I'd scroll through and say, hey, you know what? I want to see what the Adulting Decrypted crew has talked about socially. Well, one of our first episodes, Season 1, Episode 3, How Do I Talk to People? That's where we talked about all how to talk to people. So if that's something you want right now, you can go find that right now. Also in this one, Season 3, Episode 15, The Power of a Humble Mediator, where we talked to one of my old bosses about his business as a mayor, also as a small theater owner. Some really cool stuff. So, if you're looking for a better way to organize through all your self-help podcasts, try adultingdecrypted.com and enjoy the rest of the episode. And you got to find those tools. Make sure your parking brake is on for your car. And place the jack under the car, lift it up. And a lot of times with the jacks that come with cars, the tool that you use to raise and lower the jack will be the same tool that you need to tighten and loosen the lug nuts on the tire. And what you got to, And so you use that same tool to loosen those lug nuts, loosen the tire, pull the tire off, throw the spare on, tighten the lug nuts back up, and you're good to go. One thing, though, I learned this not too long ago. Those spare tires are not rated for long-distance freeway travel. They're truly like a get you out in an emergency situation. So what you want to do is repair your tire as fast as possible and put it back on the car. And a lot of those spare tires will have stickers and stuff on them that tell you what they're rated for travel-wise. So you just want to make sure that you don't over-travel on that tire. And 89% of people have gotten this quiz right so far. I feel like they're throwing us some easy ones. Oh, yikes. I've been presented with an image of very dirty laundry. That's uncomfortable. You have a load of whites to do. At what temperature should you wash them? Oh, no. I don't know this one. Okay. A, 250 degrees Fahrenheit. B, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. C, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. D, 130 degrees Fahrenheit. I actually don't know. So let's think about this. 40 is probably too cold. 70, I think 70 is too cold too. I think 250 is probably going to be too warm. I know that if you wash clothes in too warm of water, they can shrink. Which is what I'm claiming is happening to my clothes. No, so I think D is 130 degrees Fahrenheit. I apologize if. Oh, I got it right. Let's go. Yeah. So that's it. Hot water is for whites as germs. So they put a little description here on this one. Hot water is for whites as germs in soil are best removed with 130 degree Fahrenheit water. Certain fabrics and colors can be damaged and shrunk using hot water, so it's best to go warm or cold with darks. Okay, so cold could have worked too, and it looks like, yeah, this one's got a great divide here. 46% of people got it right, and then most everyone else, 24%, went with 70 degrees. Only 10% went with 250, 20 went with 40. That's really interesting. So yeah, there you go. Every washer I've used has just said, push this one for whites. So, yeah. Clean that house before your mom visits. What should you do when mopping the floor? Okay. Windex it. B, use cold water. C, spill coffee on it. D, sweep it first. Okay. This one's tricky. What should you do when mopping the floor? Okay. So you don't, I don't think you want to use Windex. Contrary to my big fat Greek wedding, I don't know if Windex actually fixes everything. Use cold water. I feel like you want to use warm water. Spill coffee on it. You know what, audience? Try it out. Spill some coffee on your floor. Let me know if your mom appreciates that. Do you sweep it first? Well, I'm pretty sure it's sweep it first. Yes, got it right. Yeah. When you mop, you want to sweep up your floor first because otherwise you're just pushing around all the gross dirt and junk, not getting anything really cleaner. And I remember growing up, my mom used to sweep stuff on the floor, and she'd always, before sweeping it up and throwing it in the garbage can, like sweeping it into the dustpan, she'd sweep it all into this giant pile. And heaven help you if you accidentally stepped on that dirt pile walking into the kitchen to get a snack or a drink of water or something. Like, it was game over if you stepped on that pile. So, yeah, sweep it first. Make sure you get under all the corners and stuff. A lot of mops, if you've got like your traditional mop, which has got the long dangly bits of cloth, that will reach any corner of your kitchen or floor or whatever, and it will pull out the dirt you might have missed, and it'll be really frustrating. So just, yeah, make sure you sweep it first. All right, what's next? We're on question 7 out of 20. I'm having fun. I've gotten it all right. I think that means I'm a professional adult. Don't tell anybody. I don't want that responsibility. Okay, car maintenance is important, so keep up with it. What do you use to check the oil? Okay. Stick thingy is option A. B, dipstick. C, windshield wipers. And D, engine. Yes, I use my engine to check my oil and the stick thingy. Okay. You know, all of these sound hilarious. It is B, dipstick. Also conveniently an insult that we threw around a lot when I was in elementary school. Hey, you're such a dipstick. I don't know if anyone else did that, but I definitely did that. Yeah, a good habit to get into is checking your oil. Something my dad always taught us is growing up is he taught us to check that oil when we fill up our car with gas, you know, because they've got the paper towels nearby for other cleaning stuff while you're waiting for your car to fill up. So just as you wait for your car to fill up, open the hood, you'll see a dipstick. It's normally got like a yellow or orange ring that you It's normally got like a yellow and orange ring that you can pull on. You pull that dipstick out. What you want to do is you want to wipe it down first. So like as you're pulling the dipstick out of the tube that it's in to check the oil, you want to wipe all that oil off first. Because there's two things that you want to do when you check your oil. You want to check for oil level and oil cleanliness to see if you need a change. So after you've wiped it down, put the dipstick back in, let it sit for a couple seconds, pull it out. When you pull it out slowly, and make sure you pull it up so that the little gauge that's on the bottom is staying still and level. And there'll be a little section near the very end of the dipstick that will be indented to show full to empty. You want to keep it closer to the full, making your car run better. And then when you wipe it down with the towel, you want to look at your towel and you want it to have like a caramel color, something nice golden brownish. If it starts to get dark, it means you're due for an oil change, which is something we can talk about on the podcast because doing your own oil changes is cheaper. All right. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. This is question 8. It says, cheers to your adulting, but you have work tomorrow, so let's skip the hangover. Which of these drinks has the highest alcohol content? I'll be straight up. I don't drink, so I don't know, but I'm going to give this my best guess. Oh, just saw the options. I think I still know this one. A is beer, B is wine, C is vodka, and D is cider. Okay, it's got to be vodka, right? Yeah, it is. Woohoo! Vodka. I only know that I don't know. Vodka sounds. It's like it's got alcohol in it. Okay, yeah. So there you go. Vodka's got the highest alcohol content. I don't have a lot on that one. Next. Question 9. You might be coming down with something. What is not recommended advice for a cold? A. Stay hydrated. B. Follow the brat diet. C. Drink warm liquids. D. Get a lot of rest. Since I don't know what it is, I'm going to go with the brat diet. The brat diet. Oh, I got it right. Woohoo! Correct. The brat diet, banana, rice, applesauce, and toast, is for when you have diarrhea or an upset stomach. I'm reading what the Grizzly folks wrote here. For a cold, remember to stay hydrated, particularly with warm liquids, which will help with congestion. Also, rest up and use a pain reliever and/or over-the-counter cough or cold medicine in order to combat sore throat and stuffiness. Okay, so, I mean, the other three were pretty obvious. Staying hydrated, warm liquids, a lot of rest. That's good for cold. But I didn't know the brat diet existed. So next time I have an upset stomach, I know what I'm going to be doing to make myself feel better. That seems like fun. Okay, next. Question 10. We're halfway there, folks. Your clothes are starting to stink. What is not a step in doing your laundry? Okay. Adding bleach to each load, choosing the right water temperature, separating whites from colors, and D, adding detergent. Okay, that'll be adding bleach. Yep. So you want to use bleach when you have like stains and stuff on white clothes. Bleach will rip the color from other clothes. Bleach is very toxic, and it takes out everything in its path. So just be careful with that. But yeah, like we talked about earlier, right water temperature, whites from colors, adding detergent. The reason you separate whites and colors is because you don't want the colors to soak into the whites, changing the whites to different colors like pinks. Like I had a thing once where I have a bunch of Utah gear. I graduated from the U, and because of that I have a bunch of Utah stuff. I was looking down. Yeah, I'm wearing like Utah gear right now just because it's what I have. And what I accidentally did once is I threw in a red Utah shirt with a bunch of my white laundry, and some of it turned pink, and I was not able to use it anymore because it was like, it didn't look right. So, yeah, separate those things. Watch out for pesky socks. Make sure those don't go missing in your wash, because that's something that conveniently happens all the time. is the sock epidemic. Something that my grandma does that I think is really, really cool is she actually bobby pins her socks together, all the socks that go into her wash together before she washes them, so she doesn't lose any. Because if you don't, the socks need a buddy system. If they're separated from their buddies, they get lost in the washer, and things get really sad. So don't let that happen. Okay, what's next? Question 11. Don't drown yourself in credit card debt like so many other adults. What's the best way to use a credit card? A, don't have one. B, pay off your balance in full each month. C, pay off one with another card that has lower interest. D, max it out and pay the minimum each month. Okay. So this one's interesting. What's the best way to use a credit card? So A, I think don't have one is off the list. I know that's some advice that people give, like Dave Ramsey got a lot of great financial advice. His is don't have any credit cards. Don't spend money you don't have, which is really valuable. But at the same time, a lot of people want to build up credit scores and stuff like that, and you can do that by paying off a credit card balance. You don't want to pay off one with another card that has lower interest, because that's still just money you don't have. Max it out and pay the minimum each month. The reason you don't want to do that, what it means by the minimum, is you just have a payment that you have to give, and that payment gets interest. And basically what that means is every month they said, hey, well, since we loaned you money, you have to pay us just a little bit extra money because we took that risk. And that's why having so much money on the credit card is bad, because that interest comes from the total amount that you have in your card. So if you only have like $10 on your card, like this is just plain numbers, not true to life at all. But if you borrow $10 from me, for example, pretend I'm the bank, I would say, hey, you know what? You took $10. Since I took the risk, you need to owe me another $2. It's actually $12. But if you took a lot more money, you know, it was like $110, and I said, well, you only have to pay off $10 every month. That interest would become something like $20. Like, hey, you know what? You're getting interest. So now instead of the minimum payment being $10, it's $30. So I would guess that the answer is pay off your balance in full each month. And I'm correct. So, and why that's good is because as you do that, it builds up your credit score. Because your credit score, in order to get one, you have to have loans or some sort of paying off to somebody. And that's why some people hate it, because it means that you're always in debt to someone. But if you pay off your balance in full each month, and it shows that you've taken debt and you've paid it off well, and it'll make your credit score good, and it'll make people who are taking risks by giving you loans and stuff like you more, because you look trustworthy as an adult. Awesome. This is question 12. You have leftovers and won't have to cook tomorrow. But how long can you keep leftovers in the fridge? Ooh, tough question. 3 to 7 days is option A. B, 1 day. C, 10 to 14 days. D, 7 to 10 days. Okay, this is interesting. I actually don't know, because I always thought it depends on the food. Like, I feel like rice goes bad quicker than, I don't know, meat, I guess. 3 to 7 days feels short. 7 to 10 days feels good. 10 to 14 days feels long. I'm going to go with 7 to 10. Option D. Oh, no! Got one wrong. I'm going to have to restart the whole quiz. Okay. All opened or perishable foods should be tossed after a week. Huh, okay. According to the FDA food code, no exceptions. Some foods go bad even sooner than that, so take precautions. Chances of food poisoning increase as time goes on, so it's a good rule of thumb to freeze food if you don't plan to eat it within 3 or 4 days. Huh. Well, yikes. And I picked one of the least popular answers. Most people got that right, too, 85%. I didn't know that. Fair enough. So apparently food perishes after 3 to 7 days. I have to be more careful with that. To be fair, I can't think of any instances when I've had food poisoning and or given anyone food poisoning. Because when you're in college, if you've got leftovers, they've got to carry, man. that having that food around is pretty good. All right, there you go. What's up next? Good morning, adult person. You're 21 all of a sudden. We'll drink to that. What is not a step in making your morning coffee? Okay, this is another one I'm not informed in. I don't drink coffee, so I don't know, but I'm going to try. A, inserting a paper filter into the coffee machine. B, boiling water over the stove to pour into the machine. C, allowing the coffee to brew. D, adding coffee grounds to the filter. Okay, so I worked in a grocery store. I know that paper filters are a thing. I know coffee grounds are a thing. And I feel like the coffee machine takes time, like allowing the coffee to brew. I feel like that's a thing that takes time too. So, and I feel like if you're using a coffee machine, which is, it gave a little cartoon picture of a coffee machine. So I'm assuming that you're using a coffee machine. I feel like boiling water over the stove to, boiling water over the stove to pour into the machine is not a step, because I feel like the machine would have to do that itself as part of the brewing process? ? Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Boils its own water. Yep. So, funny story for those of you who don't know. Our family, we're all members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and part of that is there's service missions that we go on. I went on one to Australia, and what we like to do is do service projects and help out in the community in various ways. When I was in Australia, they were celebrating a holiday, which was an early morning event. And while we were there, they said, hey, do you guys want to help out with our drink station. We're like, oh yeah, sure. I mean, we'll help out with whatever, because they were doing some like barbecues and stuff like that in the morning. So when we went over, they're like, hey, we're gonna have you guys make the instant coffee for everybody. And we're like, funny story. We don't drink coffee, and so we have no idea what we're doing. And so some people might find this ridiculous, but they had to explain to us how to make instant coffee, which I learned is essentially the same thing as hot chocolate in its preparation. However, you don't want to use as much like you would with hot chocolate, otherwise it gets really dark and abrasive. So there you go. Learn something new every day. Ooh, okay. What's an example of a discretionary expense? Okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. Discretionary definition. Okay, available for use at the discretion of the user. Denoting or relating to investment funds placed within... No, it's probably not that one. Available for use at the discretion of the user, so you can use it however you want. And there's a picture here of a jar with coins and bills in it, labeled travel, on top of a map, which in the background has a passport lying on it as well. So, what is an example of a discretionary expense? Groceries, video games, insurance, gas, and electric. So groceries, insurance, gas, and electric, I feel like are all needs. And according to the definition of discretionary, we get to use it at our discretion. I would think it's video games. B. Boom! Yes! So, unlike fixed expenses, this is what they wrote here, discretionary expenses are those that are optional. They include all the fun stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. Because you've got stuff that you have to pay for. You got bills, you've got insurance, you've got groceries, you've got stuff like that. But video games, vacations, any sort of luxury that you like, those would be stuff that you use at your discretion. The other stuff I think would be considered like necessities. Okay. If you keep on top of your credit card payments, your credit score will be stellar. What's considered a good credit score? Okay. Here's our options. 900 to 1,000, 700 to 850, 400 to 600, D, 300 to 500. Okay. So I know that the top of the scale, I'm pretty sure I might sound dumb. I'm pretty sure it caps out at 850. I feel like that's the highest you can get, so that would be a stellar credit score. I don't know how low this scale that goes, though. I think it does go all the way down to 300. But anyway, so we've outruled 900 to 1,000, 400 to 600, 700 to 850. If the top of the scale is 850, then it's going to be 700 to 850. Boom! That's what I got. Okay. Credit scores top out at 850. Yep. To begin the good or excellent range, your score should be somewhere between 700 and 850. Those with high credit scores qualify for best interest rate. Most people's scores fall Most people's scores fall between 600 and 750. I am most people currently. I'm trying to work my way out of that. Interesting. 72% of people got that right. The answer that tricked some people was the 900 to 1,000. But, yep. Credit scores cap out at 850. If you're like, hey, I think I have one of those. How do I check? I know for me, I just go into my bank account, and it has like this little check your credit score. And it's not an official credit score report because every time you check your credit score report, it actually dings it. But if you just check like the little estimate one they have, it gives you a good estimate of your credit score. So if you're curious, go into your app on your phone for your banking account or on your web browser, and you can probably find some information on that. Okay. This is question 16. You live on your own, so there's no one to remind you when rent is due. When is that usually? Ooh, trick question. 15th of the month, B, first of the month, C, rent doesn't have a fixed due date, D, last day of the month. Okay. I think typically it's the first of the month, but it depends. See, rent doesn't have a fixed due date. That's not going to be right because every lease will have a fixed due date. Okay, so the answer to this one was the first of every month. That being said, I know it also kind of depends on when your lease was signed. Like, the last place I was living, I signed in on the 5th, and so mine was due on the 5th of every month. But yeah, first day is pretty typical. Yeah, and you can see there's a good spread of answers here on the quiz, probably because people just had different experiences. Yeah, pay that rent, and if you're in trouble to pay rent, I would call your landlord and ask them for like a little bit of leniency, especially if you've been like really good at paying it and you just have a tough month. Like I had one of those in college where I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna be in trouble. So I called my landlord and said, hey, I'm not going to have what I need for the 1st of the month, or in my case, it was the 5th. And I was like, is there going to be a punishment if I'm like a day or two late on that? And they said, well, you have a full week to pay the balance in full before you start gaining penalties. And so, but they're like, and for you, like, we'll give you some time because you've been really good with paying it and stuff. So if you've been a good renter, hopefully your landlords will take care of you. I never really had any huge problems. But there you go. Up next, money management is key to adulting like a boss. What's an example of a fixed expense? Okay. A, entertainment. B, vacation fund. C, savings. D, loan payments. Well, with entertainment, if you have a subscription service, that price is fixed. Until recently, freaking Netflix and Disney and all them people's raising their stupid prices. It's not nice. Pay your writers. So savings, a fixed expense here for sure is loan payments. Because if you loan money from someone, they want it back. That's a big thing in adulthood. Everyone wants their money. Which is, it's fair. Money's nice. Makes life a little bit better. Financial literacy is key. In creating your budget, you'll have two types of expenses, fixed and discretionary. And yeah, we talked about discretionary already. So, cool. Loan payments. And this is interesting. We had a pretty big spread. Only 68% of people pick loan payments, and the other 22% going towards savings, which is fair. I mean, if you see your savings as a fixed expense, you might be better at savings. But technically it's a discretionary because you save at your discretion, whereas you have to pay the loan payments or people will come and take your stuff from you because they need their money some way or another. All right, question 18. We're almost done. Time to see if we're real adults or not. Hopefully you've been keeping track and you can let me know what score you got. Okay, treat yourself to a meal out for adulting so well. What should you tip your, in parentheses, American waitress? Okay. Oh, brother. A, 50%, B, 8 to 10%, C, 10 to 12%, or D, 15 to 20%? Well, it's definitely not 50. 50%'s too much unless, you're feeling really nice. I know there's videos of YouTubers and stuff that float around that like, hey, here's a car because you were our waitress tonight and stuff. It's tempted me to get into the business. It hasn't. That's a joke. 8 to 10% is too low for sure. 10 to 12% also feels too low. I'm pretty sure it's 15 to 20% is just standard. Yep, that's that. It says the answer is correct. There's no like law that requires a specific percentage. But the pretty typical tipping range in America is between 15 and 20%. I won't talk about this one too much. We just talked about tipping on the podcast episode before this. So if you want to hear us talk about that, listen to the episode before. Long story short, tipping culture's gone crazy in America. Let me know if it's like that around the world, for wherever you live. You can't survive off of eggs. Yes, you can. Sure you can. I've done it all my life. Just kidding. You can't survive off of eggs. Let's step it up a notch. How do you know if spaghetti noodles are done? When they're gelatinous, when they're gummy, when they're al dente, when they're hard and crunchy. Okay, well, first off, the quiz made this one, I think, too easy because al dente feels very official. My answer, that's not here, it should have been, would be throw them at the roof or the wall, and if they stick, they're done. No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually do that because my mom gets mad at me. No, when they're al dente. I have to figure out. I don't know. I don't remember what al dente means. Hold on. Let me look it up. Al dente definition. Okay. Cooked so as to be firm when bitten. Okay. Well, yeah, so you don't want your noodles gummy, okay? Cuz you don't want it, you want the chewy. You want that nice texture where it's still firm but it's like soft in a sense. You want the noodles to still have structural integrity, but you want them to give way so that they can just be a nice, pleasant accent to the sauce or other food or flavor that you've put on top of them. Yeah, hard and crunchy is a no. And then gummy is a super no. To check them, for me, I normally just pull one out, blow one out for a little bit, and then bite it. It's pretty good. I know that there is a Spotify playlist out in the world somewhere where it tells you how long you should cook your noodles by playing a song for each different type of noodle, and that song lasts the amount of time that it should take the noodle to cook if it's placed in during a rolling boil. The other thing for me is when you're cooking your noodles, turn the stove on, get it to a rolling boil, let that bad boy go, and then put your noodles in while it's boiling, let it boil, and then right before they're done, turn the heat off, and let them sit in the water just for a little bit, just to cook it, strain it, mix it with whatever you're mixing it with. I like to put salt and oil in my water as well, so the noodles don't stick to themselves or the pot. But you can do what you want. I've also done it where I've spiced the water, so I've put all the spices and stuff that I'm probably going to put in my meal in the water, and the noodles actually soak up those spices. It made it taste good. Is that real cooking advice? I don't know. I'm not a chef, but hey, you know what? I liked it. I thought it tasted good. All right, we're on our last question to see if we're official adults. Now, you're not a top chef. How dare you? But you can at least boil an egg. How long should you cook it on medium heat? Ooh, okay. 6 to 8 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, 40 minutes, D 12 to 15. Okay, well, it's not 1 to 2, not nearly long enough. 40 minutes, I think if you cook an egg for 40 minutes, you're going to turn it into a freaking, I don't know, fossil. 6 to 8 minutes, 12 to 15. I'm going to go, I feel like 12 to 15 is going to get you too hard of an egg. And when I cook mine, I've done soft boil too, where you cook everything around the yolk, but the yolk is still runny. Love that stuff. I'm going to go 6 to 8. I'm a little worried about this answer, but I'm going to try it. Oh, yes! All right, this is the last question too. So we went 19 for 20. That's pretty good. I'm a little sad it's not perfect. Hopefully one of you listening got it. But in a pot, cover eggs with about an inch of water, bring it to a boil, reduce the heat to medium-high, and let cook for 6 to 8 minutes. Okay. So you want it to boil, bring it down a little bit, let it cook. Once it's cooked, place the eggs in a bowl of ice-cold water for around 10 minutes will help them peel easier. Yeah, getting eggs to peel is one of the hardest tasks. If anyone has a surefire way of getting that shell to come right off, please let me know, because, my goodness, I love hard-boiled eggs. I hate peeling them. One trick for me is I always try and find the air pocket. There's going to be an air pocket on one of the sides, one of the, they're not points, but we're going to call them points, of the egg. And when you take that and knock it against the side, if it's got that air pocket, for me, it helps get started. I've also heard if you put a little bit of water in like a glass mug and shake the egg in there, it loosens the shell up. So that can work too, but yeah. And, oh, wow, 60% of people got that, and the other majority was 12 to 15, which makes sense. 12 to 15 is too long. There you go. All right, so we finished the quiz. Continue. What's going to happen? Quiz complete. View my results. How do we do, folks? We passed. We got an A. Smarter than the average bear. Really? Okay. Well, good to know. I feel validated. Sweet. Well, thank you for taking this quiz with me today. If you want to take it, it's on grizzly.com, or you can just Google search. I just Google searched adulting quiz, and it's on there. BuzzFeed had one too. It wasn't as interesting. So yeah, there we go. That's our quiz. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you had fun playing along. And if you got a better score than me, picks or it didn't happen. And yeah, so thanks for playing along today. And we will see you during next week's episode of Adulting Decrypted. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Adulting Decrypted. We really enjoyed having this week's conversation, and we hope you did as well.
If you ever want to comment on the topics, you can send us a message to our website, adultingdecrypted.com, our email, adultingdecrypted@gmail.com, or through our Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn accounts at Adulting Decrypted.
If you have any topics for the show that you would like us to talk about, or if you are a parent and want us to talk about something your kids should know, send us a message on any of the accounts mentioned. If you would like to be a guest or have an idea for someone you think we should have on our show, feel free to send us an email detailing your thoughts to adultingdecrypted@gmail.com. Adulting is teamwork.
We have merch. If you want to show off your Adulting Decrypted pride, check out our website, adultingdecrypted.com, or our partner website with shop.spreadshirt.com/adulting-decrypted. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, please consider supporting us on our Patreon at Adulting Decrypted. Along with the benefits that come with our Patreon, and trust us, there are some pretty good ones in there, you will not only be helping us continue in the effort to make great content, but you will be part of a community of individuals all trying their best to adult. We appreciate you listening, enjoying, and leaving your positive reviews. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Adulting Decrypted. We really enjoyed having this week's conversation, and we hope you did as well.
If you ever want to comment on the topics, you can send us a message to our website, adultingdecrypted.com, our email, adultingdecrypted@gmail.com, or through our Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn accounts at Adulting Decrypted.
If you have any topics for the show that you would like us to talk about, or if you are a parent and want us to talk about something your kids should know, send us a message on any of the accounts mentioned. If you would like to be a guest or have an idea for someone you think we should have on our show, feel free to send us an email detailing your thoughts to adultingdecrypted@gmail.com. Adulting is teamwork. We have merch. If you want to show off your Adulting Decrypted pride, check out our website, adultingdecrypted.com, or our partner website with shop.spreadshirt.com/adulting-decrypted. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, please consider supporting us on our Patreon at Adulting Decrypted. Along with the benefits that come with our Patreon, and trust us, there are some pretty good ones in there, you will not only be helping us continue in the effort to make great content, but you will be part of a community of individuals all trying their best to adult. We appreciate you listening, enjoying, and leaving your positive reviews. Now, the special song from Gene and Gideon.